Hey, it's Neve and welcome to video 2 of the How to Design or Tweak an Online Business to Be Totally True to You video series. In this video, we're talking about the business wheel. Now, first, before we move into that, I need to make sure that you've watched video 1. Video 1 is incredibly important because it's going to give you the core tool to check if something is in alignment with you or out of alignment with you. If you don't know how to do that, there's no point learning more strategies and learning more business ideas because you're not going to be able to know if they're right for you or not. So if you skip that for any reason, go back. If you didn't, let's move forward. So business wheel. Why do I use a wheel as the way of delivering the 5 essential elements of an online business? Well, it's incredibly simple. The wheel as a structure, something I always imagine it like a wagon wheel. So it's got its hub at the center, and then it has spokes sticking out going to a wheel around it. Now, what's really important about this structure is if you start to take away spokes, the wheel loses its integrity. It loses its ability to drive. It's basically kind of like trying to drive along on a flat tire. Eventually the whole thing is going to fall apart and you're going to do damage to your car, or you're going to do damage to your wagon, or whatever it is that the wheel is attempting to move. So the reason the wheel is so important is because you need to have every one of these elements to have a complete, solid business. So if you're missing an element, you need to get it there. Now, I think it's important here to start with the most important part of the wheel, and that is the center, the core hub of the wheel from which all of the spokes branch out. And I bet you can guess what's at the center of your wheel. It's you. It's you, your connection to yourself, and your purpose. That's the piece that always sits at the center of your business. Now, it's okay if you don't know your purpose yet. You see, uncovering your purpose and going through this opening of communication with yourself is a process. And it typically goes through about 3 different stages. Stage 1 is you open the communication. Okay, so stage 1, you might spend a while in stage 1. It's where you're kind of having that feeling that there's more to life, that you should be doing more. It's that little voice where your core self saying to you, come on, you're bigger than this, you're better than this, let's go. And you start to listen. And you've cracked into that even more with the work that we did in the last video, where you start to learn how to ask your core self, yes or no. Okay, now stage 2 moves on to establishing a playground or an arena in which to go through self-discovery and to begin to strengthen that connection even more. So this is where your own most meaningful and fulfilling work will begin to emerge as part of this process. Now then, stage 3 is fully understanding, fully knowing your purpose, like deep down in your heart and soul, knowing exactly what you're here to do and moving into work that just 100% aligns and puts you on purpose every single day. Now, it's okay for these stages to last a while. Stage 2 tends to last a while for most people because this is where you're sort of really getting to know yourself. For me, stage 2 lasted about 3 years. I began to do work that felt really fulfilling. I could see how to tweak it and pull it and make it more me. And I began to really discover who I was in the process of going for goals within my business. That little playground, that arena, let me really discover what my purpose was, which helped me move into stage 3, in which my purpose became completely and utterly clear, and my work had to shift a bit in order to be just utterly and completely on purpose, which is part of why I'm doing this video series. Now, we've already started you on stage 1 in the last video, and stage 2 is what we're going to focus on in this video and the next one. This is creating a playground, an arena in which you can discover more of who you are, explore that connection, and begin to grow by means of an incredibly clear goal, which is creating an income in the online arena. So if you've already began that conversation between your logical self and your core self, you're ready to move on to the next phase, which is beginning to look at the spokes of the business wheel. Now, I'm going to start with the most obvious section, the section that most people think of when they start to wonder how to create an online business. And you might already have this one sorted, but let's dig in anyway. So that is income. Okay, so all income from anywhere, comes from selling excess capacity. Okay, so say for example, you're going out to a job. What are you selling there? You're selling an excess capacity of time. You're willing to go and spend your time at this place doing whatever they tell you to do, and in return they give you money for that. Now you might be selling items on eBay. That's selling things in your home that are excess to you that you don't need, selling them to someone who wants them. Now say if you're a coach, you would be selling both your time and your experience to someone who needs your experience and who needs you to spend the time with them to explain stuff or something, you know. Even if you have an investment, say you buy a home and then homes in the area go up in value, now you have excess capacity, which is actually, you know, equity on your home, you know. So that's really how income is made. It's all based on things that you have that other people value. Okay, and there's some of it is a little less obvious. Like a lot of people watching would be already in online marketing. So if you're in affiliate marketing or you're in network marketing or something like that online, you know, what are you really selling there? What's yours that you're selling? Because what you're doing is you're connecting people to someone else's product, right? Well, what you're really selling is attention. Is people are paying attention to what you say. They pay attention and you kind of divert that attention. You're giving that attention to the company, and should the company make money from it, they pay you money. So what you're selling is attention. And actually a lot of you know, kind of traditional network marketing models or internet marketing models are all about selling attention. It's all about you saying, hey, I have a bunch of people who pay attention to what I say. I'm going to help you, you know, I'm going to give you their attention, and you go ahead and sell them something. Pay me if they buy, right? Also, another form of selling attention is advertising. So you could have a website, you have an excess capacity of visitors, and then somebody says, oh my gosh, you have a lot of visitors, we want traffic. And you go, okay, no problem. You can stick an ad on my site, pay me this much money, or pay me for every time someone clicks, or whatever way you want to do it. You're still selling attention that you have. People are giving it to you, you're selling it to someone else. Actually, most of the kind of traditional internet marketing models are either selling attention or experience. Now, I totally get that the concept of excess capacity might be brand new to you. So let's look at a couple of excess capacities that you might have that translate really well into the online space. So one of the main ones is experience. And note that we use the word experience. This doesn't mean expertise or special knowledge. This means what things have you done that other people might want to do. You know, so it can be experience moving home. It can be experience shopping for a large family. It can be experience transitioning to a different kind of diet. It can be experience making something, doing something, going somewhere, starting something. You know, like think about the different things that you've done that other people might want to do. And almost all of those are experiences that can be tapped into, especially now because more people are sort of turning online to get information for any small thing that they want to do. So this is absolutely a capacity that you have. It's your experience that now you've learned something from the experience, you know how to do it. And that becomes then an excess capacity. It becomes something that you have that other people want access to. Okay, so there's three different ways that you can tap into your experience as an excess capacity. First, you can tell someone what to do. You know, so someone wants to do what you've done, you can tell them what to do either by doing an online course, by writing an ebook, by writing a print-on-demand book. You know, so you can even, you know, if you prefer to sell hard copies of books, you can create print-on-demand books. I've done it. You can create membership sites around a specific topic where you know, let out small bits of information at a time. As an example here, you know, a friend of mine recently started a membership course, you know, which was, I think, an 8-week course on switching to a raw food diet, you know. So she's someone who has become a raw food eater. She's not even like a chef. She's not anything, more than anyone else. It's just somebody who she decided she wanted to eat healthy and she wanted to eat raw food. She switched her diet to that, and then she created a membership site and made a lot of money on a membership course on switching to a raw food diet. Now, the other thing you can do with experience is to help someone do it. So this is mentorship. This is coaching. Maybe in-person classes or online group classes. This is where there's a bit of back and forth. So you're not just telling someone what to do, you're helping them through the process of them doing it. So for example, I took a class in, like an adult education evening class type thing a couple of years ago about sewing, about, designing your own clothes, creating patterns, and then sewing. So that was the teacher of that class had an excess capacity of knowledge excuse me, an excess capacity of knowledge in how to pattern and sew. So she would come in, she would give us a little lesson, and we'd all do it ourselves, and she would just sort of float around and help us where we needed. Another example is I know someone who's an online acting teacher. So they set up Skype sessions with people who want to learn acting. So they have this excess capacity that they know a bit about acting, and they are helping people do it by coaching them through it. So you can coach someone through almost anything that you have experience in. Now, the third way to tap into your experience is to just do it for them. Okay, so instead of telling them what to do, instead of helping them do it for themselves, this is you come in and you do something for them. So as an example, people set up done-for-you packages like, pay X, Y, and Z amount of money and I will fully set up a website for you, or, that kind of thing. So they're tapping into their experience and knowledge and doing something completely for someone else. This can be like when you hire a landscape gardener, when you hire someone to come in and clean your home. That doesn't mean they have special knowledge. It just means that they have experience doing it and they're willing to come and do it for you. You're willing to pay for it, okay? So a great example of this actually is I was chatting to my friend the other day, and she was talking about her daughter and how her daughter really, really wanted to become a book editor, and how sad she was that the book industry was dying and that there was no point going into that. And, we chatted for a bit and I said, what about the fact that the book industry isn't dying? The book industry is simply changing. It's changing from big publishers to individuals, self-published authors publishing for themselves. So it's not that there's no opportunity there, it's that the opportunity itself has changed. So I said, why don't you suggest to your daughter that she goes out and does a little training on book editing, and then what she can do is she can sell book editing packages to authors who are publishing for themselves. So she has to go and create the experience, create her excess capacity by doing a little bit of training, but it means she gets to do what she really wants to do. And sometimes tapping into your excess capacities or tapping into the things that you want to do takes looking at it from a little bit of a different angle like that. Maybe having someone say, hey, look, it's not that that's impossible. It's not that that industry is dead. It's just changed. And so you might just need to change your approach, but you can always tap into your excess capacities. Once you sort of get a handle on how to do this, it really opens up a lot of possibilities. Now, so that's sort of experience, and experience is a big one, so I totally encourage you to think about some of the experiences you have that other people might want to tap into, and how you can either tell them, help them, or do it for them. Another excess capacity you might have is ability. And this is, the things that you can do that maybe other people can't. So for example, I'm kind of terrible on creating visual images, so I hired somebody to do my book cover, so that's an ability that they had that I didn't have, that I hired them to do. This can also be handcrafted items. You see a lot of people selling stuff on Etsy. It's because they have an ability to knit. They have an ability to make custom jewelry. They have an ability to personalize something for someone. So that's all things that's an excess capacity, something they know how to do that they're tapping into. This can be, I know someone who sells impressions, like you pay him and he'll do, a Sean Connery impression of whatever you want him to say. You can also do voiceovers. So if you have a nice voice, you can, hire that out. You can say, well, I have this ability to speak in a really pleasant voice, and people will hire you to do voiceovers, or, hire you to do audiobooks, which are, again, a really big budding industry. This is where you can really do freelance work. So for example, you saw that little hand drawing my logo at the front of this video. I didn't make that. I went onto Fiverr, which is a freelance website, and I found someone who had the right programs, on his computer, and it took him like 10 minutes to do that. He just had to enter it into his program. So he had an excess capacity of a program sitting on his computer. I wanted the ability to do it. I didn't want to have to go and learn it. So that's tapping into an ability or an excess capacity. So when you start to look at the world this way, oh my God, there's so many possibilities. Now I want to make a note here, because I know a lot of people watching, are actually already have a business, already have an income stream. So if you are selling someone else's product, I want you to remember that the excess capacity that you are selling, what you are bringing to the table, is attention. It's the attention from other people around you, paying attention to what you're saying, or, wanting to hear more about what it is that you do. So your focus then should always be on building up attention. So many people really flail around because they don't know that that's what they bring to the table, so they don't bother to cultivate it. So over time, you want to begin to cultivate attention. This is what is going to actually create an excess capacity for you to tap into. And remember, if you cultivate attention about yourself instead of about a particular company or product, that's attention that you can continue to tap into. That becomes an excess capacity that belongs to you, the attention belonging to you rather than to the company. Just a little word of advice there. But cultivating attention is really about marketing. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow, and how you can really easily cultivate attention and have people really know who you are. But let's move on to some actual examples of creating an income online. So say, as an example number one, you're a network marketer for a skincare company, and you've already built up a friends list. So you tell your friends, hey, I just got this new skincare. This is what it's done for my skin. They're paying attention to you because they know you. You pass that attention on to the company by saying, this is how I, have dealt with my skin problems. And so you're basically giving the attention of your audience to the company. And in exchange, if anyone buys the products, the company pays you. You are selling attention. Now, usually network marketers don't stock the product themselves. Obviously, some people, would buy products in advance and sell the products, but it's still really, you're facilitating a sale between the people who give you attention and the company, okay? Because you only get paid if a sale is made. Now, a second example would be like a landscape artist. So maybe a landscape artist does an ebook on creating a fairy garden, or maybe he has an upgrade of that he'll come out and create a fairy garden for you. What's he selling there? Well, he's selling his experience. So he's selling knowledge that he has in how to design and create a fairy garden. Right? Now, an artist, on the other hand, might be creating beautiful day planners and selling them on Etsy. So she's selling her art, but what does her art represent? Well, her art represents her own creativity, but it also represents experience, even in what goes into the day planners, or how to create these beautiful planners that she's made. So that's both creativity and experience. Now, when you're looking at your own income piece of the business wheel, you want to ask yourself two key questions. First, you want to ask your logical self, is this transaction beneficial for everyone involved? Is this somehow going to enhance the lives of everyone involved in the transaction? So it's probably going to help you with some money. Probably going to help the consumer get something that they want, solve a problem that they have, make them happier, make them feel more themselves, somehow it's going to benefit them. And then it should also benefit the company. If there's a third party involved, maybe an advertiser, are they getting their money's worth? So it's important that you feel like every single person, got more than a fair exchange, that they were somehow enhanced by the exchange. Okay, and key question number 2 is the question you ask your core self. You want to think about the income stream and ask yourself yes or no. It's that simple. And you'll probably get a pretty clear indication if an income stream is yes or no. This is the only time I would suggest. It's like if you're getting loud and clear no to an income stream, look at, is it a product that I don't believe in? Is it, is there another way I can make an income stream? Like say if you're in a company, can you make an income stream from a different product if you don't believe in one or you don't feel good about one? And if there's nothing there that your core self says yes to, that might be a time to make a change. Chances are that the tweaks are usually not in this arena. It's usually in the next 2 parts. But before we move on from income, I want to move quickly into kind of an emerging industry in the online business space. So I want to take a minute to look at participation platforms. Basically, if you have an excess capacity somewhere in your life, but you're like a total technical newbie, there's companies sprouting up daily to help facilitate you turning that excess capacity into an income for yourself. So for example, there's all online platforms that rent out rooms in your home, rent your car when you're not using it, allow you to sell handcrafted items to people who are looking for handcrafted items, allow people to sell used items, allow people to sell their expertise on a specific job, allow people to run errands for each other, allow people to create courses that are then sold for them, allow people to publish their own books. This is in itself opening up entirely new whole industries as we're all being pulled into this new era of the individual economy. Platforms, what they do really is they cut out the middleman and they bring the creator and the consumer together. So this makes it much, much easier for you to tap into the excess capacities that you have. I do and will spend more time talking about, tapping into your own experience because it's one of the most leveraged ways to get online and it's usually one of the most fulfilling. But it's just important to mention that now more than ever is an amazing time to come online and to be part of this. I really do wish we had more time to dig into this whole topic because it's huge. But honestly, to really dig into the whole income topic would probably take a week to really show you what's possible in today's economy. So first, let's move on to the next piece of the business wheel. Now, the next piece of the business wheel is the audience. Who exactly do you want to be working with or interacting with on a regular basis? Now, a lot of marketers will tell you to have an avatar. They'll say, come up with this sort of construct of your ideal person, your ideal customer. Now, the difficulty with that is when it's not real, it's not real. And in your head, you have this image, but that no one ever is going to perfectly exactly be that image. And it makes it sort of hard to emotionally relate to. So I find what is a lot easier is as your ideal audience, think of one person. Think of a person that maybe you interact with them on a daily basis, maybe you don't, maybe it's just someone you sort of know of, but the kind of person that you really would like to interact with and work with. And then think about why that is. What qualities about them make you feel like that? Like for me, my ideal person, their qualities are an inner strength, like a feeling of, yes, I know I'm supposed to do more. Like they all have that. Almost everyone that I want to work with has that quality. They're like, they know they want to do more. And maybe they just need a little help bridging that. So the ideal person I have in my head has a lot more, going on in her life and in who she is, but that's that quality that really makes me go, that's why I want to work with her. So when you think of your person and it's a real life person to help trigger real empathy and real feelings of wanting to help them, think of that person and then think about what qualities is it that make you feel like you want to help this kind of person. And that'll help you kind of narrow down. You see, with your audience, you want to get as specific as you can, so is it, what gender is it that you really want to work with? And not everyone needs to get gender specific. Is it that you want to work with entrepreneurs? Is it that you want to work with office workers? Is it that you want to help, young people, older people, whatever group it is, the more specific you are, the more you can tailor what it is you're offering to really help them, to really take into consideration what they need and really deliver the best for them. So it's really important to get as specific as you can here. And again, this is sort of the same as before. It's sort of a layering process. You begin to get clearer and clearer and clearer on what this is as you go. Now, what's really important to remember here is if there's a disconnect around audience, it almost always happens when you target who you think will buy from you instead of targeting who you want to buy from you. Okay, so this is one of these pieces where you want to kind of quiet down the logical side and rev up the core side and go, who do I really want to work with? Now, for examples here, you could have, again, that network marketer who has a skincare product might really want to help young people who are just starting in their careers, who are struggling to be taken seriously in work, maybe due to skin problems. So they really want to help them get the confidence to go into a career and to do really well. Now, a landscape artist could be maybe marketing to renters, people who really want that feeling of having a gorgeous garden that really represents them, but they don't have a lot of say over their garden because they have a landlord. So they might need tips that of things they can do that aren't permanent and wouldn't upset a landlord. Or maybe the landscape artist could work with older people who want a gorgeous garden but don't have the ability to get out there and do the work. Now, that artist with a day planner, might be, their ideal audience might be creative entrepreneurs. So people who have that strong creative drive, who struggle a bit with scheduling and maybe, really want a way to make scheduling and make sticking to a plan feel individual and feel free and feel like themselves. So you can see in each of these examples that it's fairly specific, and it's kind of really thinking about who could really benefit and what's the benefit that they get from working with your product. And that'll move us as well into the next section. But first, you want to answer the key questions in this area. Your key logic question is, who would benefit most from my work? Who would benefit most from buying this income stream? Who would benefit most from buying my product, from getting my services, from getting the information that I have to share? And really thinking about that. How would they benefit? And when you get clear on that, your person will become clear. Okay, so that's your logic question. Your key core question in this area: do I want to associate with those people on a daily basis? Yes or no? And it's pretty simple. So for each idea you have for your ideal audience, you check in with your core. Because otherwise you're going to be driven entirely by who you think you can sell to, and then you really want to go for who you want to sell to, not who you think you can. Okay, and that moves us into the next portion of the business wheel, which is the most important: your message. Now, the message section of the business wheel acts as the bridge between your audience and your income stream. This is how you show your audience how buying whatever it is that you're selling is going to help them or benefit them. Now, a message is really all about you. It's about what you stand for and what you want to say. A lot of times your message will come straight from your purpose. So the message I want my brand to just be sharing out there everywhere is that you can connect to yourself and you can continue to grow through meaningful and fulfilling work. Right? So then the work I'm doing is helping people to create that meaningful and fulfilling work. But the message they're hearing over and over is, this is how I can discover more about myself. This is how I can fulfill my potential. Right now, the message portion of the wheel is the one where there's the biggest capacity to feel disconnected. And that's because your logical brain comes in being all logical, stomps all over your core self and says, no, we are going to follow that person. So you see someone selling a similar offering to you and you go, I have to copy their message. I have to share their message because it's working. It's making sales. And when you do that, you'll find that somehow it just doesn't work for you the way it worked for them. Either you run into your own self-sabotage or your audience feels the lack of authenticity. They can feel it when you're like saying something that's just not totally you. And so then it doesn't fully bridge them to wanting to take the action that you want them to take. So, I mean, it makes logical sense. Someone's, selling something using particular wording. I'll just go use the same wording and it'll work. But the authenticity really matters here. So this is the section that if you've been struggling, if you've been in a business, you've been having trouble with it, you really want to look at what's the message I'm putting out there, and is it in alignment with me? So this is the biggest place to check for alignment issues. Now, your message doesn't always have to be stated out there for people to hear. Sometimes it's a little bit subtler than that, but it's about what people sort of hear from you time and time again until they begin to associate this particular message with who you are. And they begin to understand what they're going to get from working with you. So it's helping to bridge what they want with what they can get if they buy from you, work with you, or associate with you. So it's really about who you're being in between this income and the income stream and this audience, and how you're bridging them together in a really valuable way for everyone involved. So for me, that's why I love working with people who already have that sense that they should or could be doing more, because it means there's the seed for connection. They already have that seed there, and then they hear my message over and over and over, which is you can connect to yourself through fulfilling work. When they decide that they're ready for that seed to really grow, when they're ready to step into more, they know to come to me, and they know that I can help guide them and help them construct meaningful and fulfilling work that they can then use as a playground to discover themselves, to bridge that connection, and to really step into who they're supposed to be, to fulfill more of their potential. So when people are following me over time, they get that sense, and they know what's waiting for them. They know what they can get when they decide that they're ready to work with me. For the other examples that we've already been using, let's look at those. So for that network marketer who's helping young people to clear their skin, to move confidently in their career, that's their message. Is let's get your skin problems fixed so you can move confidently into your career. Their purpose is probably to help people feel confident, to help raise confidence level in young new career people. Now that landscape artist, their message might be, let's come up with a creative temporary garden so you can feel like an individual at home without upsetting your landlord. So his purpose there is to help people connect to that strong sense of home. So the main message is you can still have individuality in your garden even if you don't own it. Right? The artist's message might be, you can be an effective entrepreneur and be uber creative. So here's a way to plan your day without feeling trapped. So their purpose is to help other artists get to really be themselves, feel that sense of freedom, but also still be effective in their lives. So your key questions in this section are, number one, your logical question, which is, what does my audience want that buying from me helps them get? Bridging those two things, your service with the person. What is it that they want? How does buying from me help them get it? Okay. And number two is your core question, is how do I feel about that message? Yes or no? This is the one that it's worth putting time into doing a lot of. I would actually recommend that you spend maybe half an hour or so, write out 10 to 20 messages, 10 to 20 ways that your audience is going to benefit from buying from you, or that it's going to help them. What's it going to help them feel? What's it going to help them get? What's it going to help them do? How's it going to help them on the path that they really want to be on? And really just get creative here. Write down as many as you can, and then go through them one by one and ask your core self for a yes or a no. And when you get one that's a solid yes, that's the message that you start with. As I said earlier, it's okay if you don't yet know your purpose. You don't have to have this all magically figured out, but you do need to be backing a message that you feel great about, because otherwise you will totally sabotage. This is the point that needs tweaking for most people. Like if you're feeling off in your business, you probably just need to tweak your message. Make sure that that is all coming into alignment, and you'll start to feel really great about it. And the final section of the business wheel is marketing is what do you do daily. Now, this is the piece that helps your audience get to your message, okay? So your audience, before they can ever, decide whether or not to buy from you, you need to find them. You need to bring them to you. You need to help them hear your message. So we're going to dig into that tomorrow, because marketing is where people tend to get really lost. They tend to get overwhelmed and they follow strategy after strategy and tactic after tactic, and nothing really works for them because they don't know how to approach marketing. We're going to approach marketing just like we approach the rest of this, with you and who you are in mind. We're going to do it in a way that helps you stay in alignment and have a big impact. So make sure to check back for tomorrow's video.